YouTube, this is it. Today is the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, you tell me, are we over-exaggerating? As Fiendsmith is finally here. That is right. Everyone's been going nuts about this over the past year because of Engraver. Now, we don't have the Lacrima Tears girl that is played in the main deck. Don't confuse it with the one in the extra deck, which does make the deck a lot better, but still. Engraver being here alone is enough to turn on a ton of different decks, hopefully something like Magical Musket, but unfortunately it does further boost up already well-established decks like Snake Eye and Yubel. So find out with me today and also the tournament this Saturday for the $1,000 event what is going to be the best deck with Fiendsmith. We also have Azamina, which could also be used with Fiendsmith. Now, enough yapping. Thank you very much. By watching as long as you can, that greatly supports these videos, even if we're on in the background. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
All right, we're going to start this off with a Full Loss activated in the draw phase. Will it be fingered? Yes, it will finger the Full Loss. Now, I talk about this a lot with Ash Blossom and Max C, and that is to trick your opponent to eat your Ash. Have them finger your Ash instead of your Max C. And we possibly could have done that with the Full Loss if we held onto the Full Loss, activate Ash first, it gets fingered, and then we chain the Full Loss to the Ash getting fingered. Instead, we protected the Ash. We're gonna see if we regret that as we summon our Diablo Star. Diablo Star is here, set up into the back row, the Deception of Sinful Spoils. Send to the Graveyard of Monsters. Search our deck for nothing as the Ash Blossom negates. We're going to be reborning the Snake-Eyed Diablo Star, end phase equipping into the back row, not equipping, but setting the Sinful Spoil Deception that was sent there that turn. Now, what are our disruptions here? We unfortunately don't have a Masquerena play, but we do have Promethean Princess on a special summon we can get poppin'. We have a double monster effects negate with Apollo, and the Desiree is completely untargetable thanks to the sequence and can non-target negate up to 2 cards in the field. That is considered just 1 disruption, not 2 though. Are you ready? Let's go. Quadra Disrupt plus the Droll. We do have Droll in our hand, so that's 5. Baguska in attack position, though. Baguska is untargetable in attack position. Are we making a good old Zeus play? When was the last time we saw Zeus in main phase 2? We're going to special summon Poplar. Poplar is activating, and we're also going to be summoning Linkuriboh. Now, what's the most important thing on the field? The screen right now. The S. This is the start of the battle phase, and if it were not the start of the battle phase, you cannot make these plays to use Linkuriboh to stop the Baguska. But does Linkuriboh target? When an opponent declares an attack, tribute this card, change that monster to 0. It does not target. It will get reduced into 0. But we don't have to destroy a monster by battle to make a Zeus. We could go swing into your defense position monster, and now we get Zeusing. Now, the Zeus has how many materials? Just 3 materials, as the Apollo or the Desiree will very easily negate it. So we're just going to wait. We're not going to use it right away. Just hold it. We are now setting up the Divine Temple, equipping the Poplar. Flameburge will force the activation of the Zeus. Detach 2 materials, attempt to wipe out the entire field. Apollo USA, negate. Now, what's important to note is the Apollo has to be the direct activation negate to a monster effect you want to negate. The Desiree does not have to be the direct chain. So it will be safer to use your direct chain negate and then add a Desiree to the negate if something were to happen to the Apollo. Let's say they have an Impermanence or a Veiler, you could then toss in the Desiree. Negate the Zeus. And you get pushed back. And just like that, 9,400 damage. Taking this into game number 2. Oh boy. Untargetable, non-target, negate Desiree. Desiree does have an additional effect of when sent to the grave, it could then send a card on the field to the grave. Heraldic Beast deck. We're going to start this off with a Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus, setting up the Rainbow Dragon into our background, a special summon a Pegasus from the deck, plus adding a Rainbow Dragon. The Pegasus will be activating again as we chain Drone Lockbird in response to you adding a card from your deck to your hand. We have used up our normal summon here, so what the heck is the Spring and Kid doing? Bagooska pass. You're going to lock me in a Droll, we're just going to get Bagooska in. Sure. We have Imperm, negating the targetable Bagooska where it's only untargetable while in attack position, but then it does not turn off defense position monsters, and also no longer forcing you into defense as we set up with Divine Temple plus send to the graveyard the Snake-Eyed Diablo-Star to summon the Diablo-Star as we then activate Deception of Sinful Spoils to send Diablo-Star to grab the Hallowed Azamina to now fusion summon by sending the Wanted Seeker to the graveyard to make a Risalago. Risalago is essentially going to be like a Diablo-Star searching our deck for a Sinful Spoils or an Azamina. We're going to cross out Designator, negate that Ash Blossom. I don't think so. As we could now grab possibly an Original Sinful here. Is that going to be our play? Yes, indeed. Original Sinful is the way. We're going to use... oh, yeah, this has a very weird effect. So to laugh at TCG players... Deception of Sinful Spoils for no reason whatsoever, just to give people a headache. If a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard and you control an Azamina, make your opponent lose 1,500 life, thus losing in time. As we now grab the Hallowed Azamina from Engrave back to our hand by returning the Azamina Fusion back, as we now send the Original Sinful to summon the Sylvia, which is an Omni Negate. Now, what happened here? We have not committed to a normal summon, and we did not activate Original Sinful. Because we have not activated Original, we could use the in-grave effect that we sent to the grave to fusion summon the Omni Negate to now search our deck for a normal summonable Snake-Eye Ash. Yes, indeed. Come to me. With our Snake-Eye Ash, we are now protected by the Omni Negate of Sylvia. Now, many of you are probably thinking, what the heck? I thought Fiendsmith was going to be popping off. What's with this Azamina nonsense? Well, this is also good. We are setting up the Snake-Eyed Diablo-Star, special summoning itself as we send our back row plus the Ash to summon a Flameburst from the deck. Flameburst is going to push the Bagooska into the back row, and just like that, we have 8,000 damage on field. We have the effect of the Wanted Seeker drawing into a random Veiler. Look at the damage details there, just like that. Lethal damage, Azamina with the 2-0 victory. We are going to be hitting him with the Max C in the draw phase. We now have the lingering effect button to show that we're under the effects of Max C. As we are now, what the heck? Millennium Ankh. Show 5 pieces of Exodia to then special summon Exodia Incarnate, the unstoppable one. What does this do? Cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. During damage calculation, you can make this card gain attack equal to your life points. Well, 8,000. Once per turn, when a spell/trap card or effect is activated, negate that activation. Once per turn during the end phase, you could set an Exod or obliterate spell/trap from your deck. And once per turn during your standby phase, lose 1,000 life points where you're going to be not gaining as much attack anymore. Okay. Wait, that's all his deck does? It just ends? Well, I guess it does set up the Exodia cards in the back row. So you have a spell and trap card negate, a special summon negate with the Azure Rune, and then, what is this? Exod Fires of Rage. This is always treated as an Exod and Obliterate card. If you control level 10 or higher Exodia monster, destroy all cards your opponent controls. Non-target, wipe their entire field away, literally in Obliterate? That seems nuts. If this card's in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, banish this, then add in a Forbidden One from your deck or graveyard to your hand, or shuffle up to 5 Forbidden Ones in your graveyard or banishment back in the deck. Okay. Spell and trap card negate, full field destroy, plus a special summon negate. Can we negate this special summon? No, we cannot. It's not an inherent special summon. Wow, 1-for-1 into Lurie. That is something. Exodia! Obliterate! The entire field! Wipe it! Holy moly, Lurie could have went into Requiem, which the Azure Rune would have negated. Deload a summon for the deck, which the Azure Rune cannot negate. Now Phantom of Yubel will get negated. Its summon because of the Azure Rune. During your opponent's end phase, we set another Fires of Rage? Holy moly! This is something. Spell and trap card negate. We do have to lose 1,000 life, unfortunately. Now we have the Wedju Temple, which will be putting a Shield of Millennia onto the field as we then put the Wakes of Millennium somewhere. What the heck? I don't even know what's going on. We're going to Ash Blossom negate the effect of the Millennium Wakes as we special summon the Shield of Millennium. And we're going to be activating the Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures, revealing the Ankh to special summon itself to search for a Wedju Temple. And now we're going to be setting up Dimensional Fissure as we wipe away the entire opposing field. Now, even though the Spirit of Yubel is banished, it still activates to summon a Yubel. What? What is this? Link 5 into Underworld Goddess with the ability to negate a Reborn effect from the grave. As we just Millennium Ankh again. We're at 3,000 life, so the Exodia is only going to go to 3,000? What happened? Underworld went away. Millennium says wipe your whole field. Show and then special summon, then shuffle the face-up monster cards you control into the deck. Uh-oh. Who are level 10 or higher. Okay, and then you can't summon for the rest of the turn. So you could only have this crazy Exodia. Everything sent to the grave that's a monster will be banished. We have Nightmare Throne, which is going to be negated by the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Negate. Now, I noticed the Exodia did not set a trap during the end phase, meaning we just played 2 Fires of Rage, I guess. That's the only card worthwhile setting. Again, not setting. Standby phase. Ooh, we're going to lose in 2 more turns, but nope, we are scooping it up. We're not waiting for that 2 turns to happen. Exodia Millennium taking a Game 1 victory over a super top tier deck, Yubel. All right, we're going to start this off with a Max C shotgunned in the draw phase. As we Ash Blossom negate that Max C, I don't think so. You will not be stopping our plays. The heck is this? Heart of the Blue Eyes in this deck? What do you do? We're going to be starting this off with a Spirit Gate, searching for our Dark Beckoning Beast. Since we have no forms of disruption to stop this, we're going to speed this up in game. Do not Ash the effect of Engraver. You can Ash the Tract, you can Ash the Requiem. By can, those are good Ashes. Tract grabbing the Lurie, discard Lurie. Lurie activate to Reborn. Get that extra body on field. As we now turn this into a triple monster negates Apollo USA. Engraver, reborning itself by returning the sequence back, and now we could wave King Caesar. This will be a double special summon negates. Squirmer special summoning itself onto the field, pop in the Spirit of Yubel, trigger Spirit of Yubel and the field spell to summon double bodies. We're going to summon the Terra Incarnate and summon Yubel. We're going to turn the Squirmer and Yubel into a Lord of Yama. Someone was asking earlier, is Fiendsmith toxic? Did this turn just get longer? For that case alone, I would say that Fiendsmith is a bit toxic, yes. Having to wait longer for the turn 1, not cool. When it was already a pretty long turn 1. Reborn Spirit of Yubel with the Squirmer, pop it with the Shivara, trigger Spirit of Yubel, and the Yama to reborn a Fiend from Engraving. You could also summon the Fiend from your hand if you'd like. Reborn Spirit of Yubel, pop Shivara, reborn Yubel, Shivara trigger, set up the Chamber instead of the Escape. We're going to return from Engrave to summon a Phantom of Yubel. Let's talk about our forms of disruption. We have triple monster negate with Apollo, double negate of a special summon with the Caesar. We have Soul of Rage, which could link with the special summon monster into a Little Knight Banish into a Phantom of Yubel, negating a monster effect. We also have the Varadros, negate anything, which it could possibly then destroy a card in the field for an 11th disruption, but we won't count that. We also have Droll and Lockbird at 11. 11 disruption. Oh boy. Wedju Temple. Setting up into our back row, we're going to Varadros, negate the activation, and then possibly destroy a card in the field, which would be the other form of disruption. So that would be 12 disruptions. There you go. Negate and pop another card. We now have Apollo, which is going to... I couldn't even get to my fingers down. What the heck? We went from 11 disruption to 12 disruption down to 10 disruption. I was about to go to 9. That was enough. 1-1. Let's hop in a game number 3. Let's see what is good. We have a Forbidden One arm in our hand. What the heck? Said 2 pass. Is Super Poly our only play besides the Ash Blossom? Well, we also have the Azure Room. We didn't set the Exodia Fires of Rage. So we have Negate an Inherent Special Summon. We have Fuse with the Field, plus an Ash Negate an interaction with the deck. Let's go. Set up the Azure Rune early. Chain the Max C. We'll be drawing off of that. Thank you very much. Not worth it to Ash, I guess. Even though they will also be drawing off of our Super Poly. Engraver, discard, search our deck for a track. Do not Ash that. You could Ash this or wait for the Requiem. Now, I would say this though. If you don't Ash the tract, we can now legally cheat. To legally cheat would be, I activate Engraver, your field lights up. I activate Tract, your field lights up. I discard Lurie, Lurie activates, your field doesn't light up. I summon Lurie, Lurie's in the field, your field doesn't light up. I summon a Requiem, your field is not lighting up. So maybe I shouldn't even activate Requiem because you obviously have an Ash Blossom. So I instead summon another body and go straight in a sequence instead of activating Requiem. Use that legal cheat to your advantage. All right. Lurie activates summon itself onto the field. Link this up into a Requiem. We're just going to negate the summon of Requiem with the Azure Room. That's it. Engraver returned back the Requiem, reborn itself from Engrave. Nicely done. As we now link off the Engraver back into Requiem. Requiem states you can only special summon this once per turn. And we never summoned it. You negated the summon. Requiem activate into that Ash Blossom negate. Now, someone out there may be thinking, Decade, I could trick you. I could false delay your Engraver in tract activation and then turn it off when your Lurie and activates and the Lurie hits the field and then you summon Requiem. There's another cheat. It's an exploit. I would implore all of you to set this up correctly. In the duel settings, I'm in the audience replays. You have to turn off special summon animation. If you do not have this turned off and the opponent has, let's say the opponent has it turned on and I have it turned off, by summoning Requiem, it will show me, even with your toggle turned off, if you have something activatable, and that would reveal your whole play. So that is another trick, is an exploit to get around it. You cannot get exploited if you just turn it off. Now you may be thinking, but Decade, I love the summon animations. It's not the summon cut-in. The cut-in is not turned off, just the Ritual Fusion Synchro Exceeds Pendulum animation where it does all the flashy lights. That's the only thing you have to turn off. Now I have to test if they fixed it, but I tested this about a month ago. We did have a new app update. Maybe they fixed it, maybe they didn't. I'd have to double check. But that is a current live exploit. We have Dark Beckoning, searching for the Spirit Gates. Additional summon to the Squirmer. And now we are going into our closed heaven, but we already used our Requiem for the turn. So what are we doing with that? As we summon a Terran Incarnate from the deck, we're just going to be using it to make our Fiendsmith sequence, which requires at least one Light Fiend to summon it. By returning 3 cards in the grave back in the deck, we get to make the Desiree, which requires Engraver plus 2 Light Fiends, equipping it with a Requiem, giving it its 1 Omni Negate. As we now Spirit Gates, discard to reborn the Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel setting up the Nightmare Pain here. It's turn 2, right? Oh my goodness, we do have that Super Poly. We are going to grab a Squirmer with the Nightmare Pain, trigger the Spirit of Yubel, trigger the field spell to summon 2 more Yubels onto the field. What are we looking at here? 4,600 damage so far. Terran Incarnates, as we also summon a Yubel. I check the lingering effects. We're under max C, or we max C'd them. Now we're going to Super Poly. Fusing up. What? You play Loving Defender? 5 cards for a fusion summon. Yubel monster plus any amount of effect monsters on the field. That was insane. Now, Phantom of Yubel cannot be used for a fusion material. That's why it remains. We do get to draw. Now, we do have the other effect of the Fiendsmith Desiree when sent to the graveyard, and you could send this from the extra deck to the graveyard to trigger the effect. You return another Light Fiend that's not itself to then send 1 card on the field to the grave. Do not destroy. Now, this is activating just to burn. We're going to make it so you don't burn. I think it was burning for 2,500 damage. We're stopping here with the Phantom of Yubel. And the Desiree Send to the Grave is a targeting effect, as the Loving Defender cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So the Desiree specifically sending it and not destroying it, huge deal. And even with that massive super poly, we're rebuilding our field? What the heck is going on? On-Chain Lord of Yama. Grab a Shavara, pop the set Spirit Gates. We're now locked into Fiend type only. We got 4k damage, obviously not enough. We just have an arm. And if you're wondering what the heck was that was Ray attacking as Kagari. As we trigger the Shavara into our back row. Let's see if we can top deck. Off the top of the deck, the Millennium Ankh, I think, is what we would need, right? Shield of Millennium, whatever it does, we're negating it. You are putting this into your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and you can pay 2,000 to reveal Millennium Ankh from your hand to special summon this. I guess we weren't going to even be able to do that. The Exodia, right arm of the Forbidden One, swings into Yubel for double reflected 200 damage. What is this? Fires of Rage, add the Forbidden One. What? Ash, I think we're just trolling right now. What the heck? Adding a Forbidden One monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. I guess that would be helpful for adding your 5th piece to get that 1-turn kill play. Discard Spirit Gates, reborn our Spirit of Yubel, grabbing a Nightmare Pain as we further turn this into a Vardras. And thank you very much, 4,800 damage. We are now concluding this duel. Jim Fandango, I'm very happy you whipped out Exodia for game 1 at least. That was beautifully done. And we got to actually see what your deck does. So that is good. Then beyond that, you unfortunately bricked, which probably is why the deck is not going to be top tier. Begin. Starting off with the Deception Sinful, must send a monster to the grave to grab the Hollowed Azamina fusion spell, which must send a Sinful Spoils to perform our fusion summon. Into the Risalago. Risalago will be searching for an Azamina or Sinful Spoils, and Valor will negate, and Call by the Grave potentially not being used here. Actually, we do not care to finger the Veil. Our disruptions here is a Desiree that's untargetable, has a double negate, non-targeting of cards in the field. We do have a triple monster negate with the Apollo USA. We have the Sylvia, which could jump off the field to negate a card, so fingering it is good, imperming it is not. You'd have to preemptively negate it with imperm. That's 5 disruption. And then you have the Masquerena, which could go into a Little Knight Banish, into a Little Knight Banish. And then you have Promethean Princess and Grave. That's going to be 8 disruptions, with 2 of them being Omni Negates. Are you ready? Let's go. Fiendsmith tracked, grabbing a Lurie to then discard that Lurie, triggering Lurie to reborn itself from Engrave. We'll use Apollo, yes we will. Dropping down to 7 disruption. I'm not counting the Call by the Grave as a form of disruption. Maybe I could start doing that if you'd like. Spirit Gates, searching for our Dark Beckoning. Triple Tactics talent's now activatable, but 2 cards will be able to activate it. We're Desiree negating and triggering the field to summon a Masquerena. Negate the Spirit Gates and the Dark Beckoning. You now do not have an additional summon nor a search. Triple Tactics talent. We have the other Omni Negate. Negate the ability to draw 2 cards. With 5 disrupt left, whatever will we do? We're just going to end our turn because we can't do anything else. It's too much. The Fiendsmith engine is here, just like that. Look at the new damage details there on screen. Beautifully done, Konami. Thank you very much. Lethal damage. It's time to play Snake Eye again. Wow. Last year, Snake Eye emerged as the best deck. And then 1 year later, Snake Eye reemerges as the best deck. Love it. We have Dark Beckoning Beast searching for a Spirit Gates. We're going to hold on to the Ash Blossom here. It's not a good negate on the Dark Beckoning nor the Spirit Gates itself. Now, we Ash Blossom this. definitely negate. You can now follow up with the Fiendsmith Tract. And that is the benefit of the Fiendsmith engine. It can either force a hand trap or start your engine or set up multiple disruptions. And right after that disruption, where otherwise we would have ended our turn and we would have been screwed, we now have full wombo combo. We're going to add the Lurie, discard the Lurie. Lurie trigger in graveyard reborning itself. We now have a Light Fiend on field to go straight into the Requiem. We don't have to use a double link into the Closed Moon. Requiem jumping off the field to summon into an Engraver. So we could have had the mentality of Requiem, eat their Ash, and then D-Lotus with the Ash eaten. We now go into our plays, but instead, D-Lotus was the one to eat the Ash. As we now with Engraver and the Dark Beckoning making the sequence. Because we don't have the Lacrima from the main deck, we do have to use another body, generally to make the sequence, unless you hard open up the Engraver. We're going to be returning 2 cards engraved to fusion summon into Lacrima. Lacrima unsummon, reborn the Engraver. And with this, we're going to be making Beatrice. What the hell is going on? Well, how do I get into my Yubel engine? The D-Lotus got negated. I want to summon Spirit Yubel. Well, we could send the Spirit Yubel, and then we could reborn it with the Spirit Gates if it's not negated, or we could use a Muckraker to reborn it. Now, there's an important thing to note here. As we summon Yubel into summon the Spirit Yubel, and that is the lingering effect is not showing that you can't summon non-fiend monsters because there is no lingering effect. It is the continuous effect of Soul of Shavara, which states that you could only summon fiend monsters. So that's when it would not show up. As we now make a Wave King Caesar. Let's further turn this into a Varadros. So a way for the lingering effect to turn on in our turn right now would be to make a Muckraker. If we made a Muckraker, activated the effect, it states that we're locked into Fiend-type monsters only, and it would show under the lingering effect tracker. End our turn. Holy moly. What do we have here? Double monster negate, double special summon negate, another monster negate, plus Omni negate anything, plus an Ash Blossom in hand, plus the Varadros maybe destroying an additional card in field, which could be a disruption. We'll just say 7 disruption. What is good? We don't have a Yama to trigger to reborn the Soul of Rage, unfortunately. With our 7 forms of disruption, can they play through it? Diablo Star, send the Poplar, trigger the Diablo Star Chainlink, block it from an Apollo or the Phantom of Yubel. Now, the Diablo Star summoning itself from the hand cannot be negated by the Wave King Caesar. It's not an effect activation to summon. As we now have a Subversion. Push a monster on the field back. And we're going to use the Varadros to negate, dropping us down to 6 disruption. Varadros is detached and to pop another card. Essentially, a double disrupt on that Varadros, which would mean that our total disruption was 8, not 7. We're going to be using Deception of Sinful Spoil, tribute off a monster to search our deck for nothing as the Ash negates. Have we used up our normal summon yet? We have not. We still have Oak summon, but I mean, what are we going to do? If Oak were to activate, it would get negated by 2 different effects. If Oak were to activate to summon a Flame Burst in the deck, the Wave King Caesar would be able to negate. Checkmate. Is that a 2-0? Wait, I think I had them swapped up. Who? Oh, okay, it's 1-1, 1-1, and we had it correct. Oh boy. Let's do it. Deception of the Sinful Spoils, tribute off the Lurie to grab the Holodas Amina fusion spell, send Sinful Spoils to fusion summon. You what, mate? First turn killed me. Nice. We had triple monster negate, Omni negate, Valor May, Ash Blossom. Did we even Promethean Princess? I think I missed it. I can't click on the graveyard. Holy moly. Jesus. So the Hallowed Azamina is a proper fusion summon, which then makes it rebornable from the graveyard or by putting it in the back row. That is nuts. Let's read that. Reveal. Fusion monster send. Then special summon is treated as a proper fusion summon. Wow. 2-1. Let's go. Yubel versus Yubel. Let's speed this up. Quadra Monster Negate with the Apollo, Monster Negate with the Phantom of Yubel, Monster Negate with the Impermanence, Monster Banish with the Little Knight. We could link off of an opposing monster with the Soul of Rage. We could pop a card in the field with the Escape. We're at 9 disruptions. Yes, indeed. 9. We're going to Escape, wiping out the Soul of Rage plus the opening. Thus, we're at a measly 8 disruptions. Trigger the Yama to Reborn. We could get Fingering. Soul of Rage attempting to add back the Spirit of Yubel. Fingered that Soul of Rage. We're now down to only 7 disruptions. Now we know the other called by can go even with the Phantom of Yubel. Let's see what we could do from there. Reborn the Spirit of Yubel. Dark Beckoning Beast on summon. We're going to chain banish the Little Knight. Now dropping us down to 6 disruptions. Okay. We're going to be grabbing, does not negate. Nightmare Pain. Activate to pop the Spirit of Yubel from in hand. Grab a Squirmer. Trigger the Spirit of Yubel to summon from the deck. Will the Apollo negate? Yes, it will. Mate. Negate. Now down to 5. Disruption. What else? We're going to summon our own Phantom of Yubel. If we finger their Phantom of Yubel, we finger ourselves. So what do? Well, we just use Phantom of Yubel to make a Little Knight. Little Knight on summon can be quite disruptive as it's going to banish a card on summon, attempting to banish the Apollo. We're now down to 4 disruption. As the Little Knight chain attempts to banish again, we're going to imperm negate the Little Knight. We're now down to triple disrupt. 3 monster negates and one of them can get fingered. 1600, we could go even with, but we have to attack into a Yubel thanks to the Nightmare Pain, thus we can't take out the Apollo. I mean, that was a good turn, right? We grinded through a lot of disruptions. They still had 3 left, though. Gonna grab a D-Lotus with the Nightmare Pain, triggering the Nightmare Throne off of the Spirit of Yubel being destroyed, and also activating to summon a Yubel. We're gonna be returning a Phantom of Yubel back in the extra since the card is semi-limited. D-Lotus tributing itself to summon for the deck as the Little Knight is gonna chain banish. And the Little Knight will also chain banish. Okay, you can't banish me if I banish you. Banish. We're just trolling at this point, right? We know there's no way we could win this. We're going to call by the grave, finger Engraver, because why not? Should you wait for Engraver to activate? Sure, but then they'd have a Varadros to negate your finger, so preempting it was fine. Spirit Gate, discard Ash, reborn the Spirit of Yubel, further turning this into a Closed Heaven. Closed Heaven into Requiem. Do they play more than one Requiem? No, we're just returning the cards back. The whole Fiendsmith engine continually recycles itself. We are going to equip the Engraver with the Requiem, which could have activated to send, but it is negated due to the call by the grave. And just like that, game 1 goes to Sad Potato, which Musketeer could be in the top 16 today. I don't know the other half. We'll be getting into it after this match concludes. All right, Max C pass. Ain't no way. What the heck was that? Fua loss in the draw phase. So one of the best counters to the Fiendsmith engine, if you're all freaking out, is just draw Max C. Come on, or draw Fua loss. Fua loss is also great. This deals could also be good. We're going to Dark Beckoning Beast. Is Abdullah, you have no hand traps, huh? Okay. Let's speed up. Had Necro equipped without Lacrima. Well, I guess I'd have to look at the OCG way. That does count as being beneficial to the Fiendsmith engine. Right, we do have to account for no Necro equip and no Lacrima. Holy draws, by the way. You better end this duel. Now, what do we have to account for? What is a problematic card if we're going for game under the effect of Max C or a Fua loss? Well, we now have Droll, no more adding. The effect is going to be the Spirit of Yubel. If we declare an attack, Spirit of Yubel will block the attack. Now, we could have a Phantom of Yubel to stop that Spirit of Yubel. And if we look at the lingering effects right now, we click on that, it shows that we are under the effect of double Fool Loss and a Droll in Lockbird. You could see it all there in game now. We have Lacrima on Fusion Summon, reborning the Engraver. Squirmer's going to banish to further reborn a Spirit of Yubel. Shabar's going to be popping that Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel's going to summon another Yubel. To the battle phase we go. Spirit of Yubel. We're not threatening lethal damage here, though. Or are we? If we can inflict 7,400 damage, we could then, and a lot of you are going to get caught off guard by this, Lacrima. If this card is sent to the graveyard in any way whatsoever, shuffle a Light Fiend into the deck/extra to inflict the remaining 1,200 damage. Stop the Spirit of Yubel. No damage for you. Engraver sequence, 2K, 2,400. We are in lethal range of the Lacrima, making a Lord of Yama, and just like that, we are scooping it up. Lacrima for game. Setting up the Gold Pride, better luck next time to add a Gold Pride from our deck, as the Captain Carry is going to be special summoning itself. Alongside that, we have the special summon tracker to make the big Gabonga. What are our forms of disruption? We have the Ogre in response to a monster effect to destroy it, or it could be a spell or trap card that's already face up, like the Deception. What a great counter to Deception. You activate this, and on activation, it doesn't search, so you would not be able to Ogre on activation, but then once it's face up, you minus a monster to search, and then the Ogre makes it a super minus as you lose the Deception and the monster, and you get nothing. Beautiful. Great card if this becomes more popular, which I'm thinking Snake Eye Azumina Fiendsmith is currently the #1 best deck, which going into this tournament, Snake Eye Fire King was the best, and we dropped Fire King for Azumina and Fiendsmith. So in addition to the Ogre and me going nuts over that, we have a negated monster. We have the Gold Pride, which is going to be going into a form of disruption. And then we do have the Full Armored Xyz, which will at least be able to suck up a monster maybe into a 5th form of disruption. I'm going to have to wait there. So maybe 4 to 5 disruption. We'll adjust as we go. Here's the Ogre. Holy moly. Ogre stopping the Deception Sinful Spoils. Wipe it. No search for you. That is devastating. Now down to 3. Draco Future. Take control. You can't. Oh, we kind of scooped to Ogre, right? I mean, that was pretty damn good. End the turn. Bro, what? You're supposed to be the best deck. We have Imperm, Nibiru, Max C, and Valor. Triple Disruption backed up by the Max C. Did not Max C on the resolution of adding the Take Tomborg. Maybe we're waiting for a bigger commitment. Big Gabonga. We're going to Nibiru. If you hold on to Imperm and Nibiru, that's good. You could wait until they set up a form of negating Nibiru, then you Nibiru plus negate the negate, full field wipe mate. Doug Charger, grab from the deck, a grand entrance. Also, a lot of people are making Apollo USA without Masquerena, and if you didn't know this, Ogre stops the Apollo negate. They don't get destroyed while negating, they don't negate and get destroyed. Imperm negating the Chariot Carry. Negate. And of course, if not made with Masquerena, where otherwise it would be protected from destruction. So don't Ogre a Masquerena protected and get mad at me. We're going to Grand Entrance, banish, detach, and Xyz material, adding back the Doug Charger. We have not committed to a normal summon yet. As we make the Utopic Draco Future, which we have Valor now. So we can Nibiru, if he negates, we then Valor to negate the negate. Well, if you're going to look at my hand, now I have to Nibiru. We're going to negate with the Utopic Draco Future. Now remember, this is turn 2. We can attack. Valor, negate the negate, say goodbye to the Utopic Draco Future. While looking at the hand to see that there's no more hand traps, we have an open normal summon. We do have to deal with that rock on field now. Only 600 defense, but it's still a single attack block. Can we lethal under the Max C? No, we cannot. We're summoning Leon, wipe out the Nibiru, then passing. The Punk Danger will be able to negate a monster on the field, though. Got one negate. That's it. Diablo Star is now here. Diablo Star searching and setting up the deception of Sinful Spoils. So now we have to have in our mind that this mad lad is playing Ogre. We got to be careful. If we fully commit to a deception, we could get blown out. Discarding the Ash did not happen. The Ogre check has passed as we hollowed Azamina fuse into our Sylvia, going right into the Omni Negate. So your negate now gets negated by the negate as we now set up safely our Snake Eye plays. Ash and Poplar, this duel has definitely swung in favor of Abomod as we Poplar grab the Divine Temple. Why did we give them so many draws under Max C? Were we really setting up some sort of lethal play? Was it worth it? Utopic Draco Future into all the additional draws they were getting from it? Flameburge pushed that token back into my back row as the Snake-Eyed Diablo Star now summons itself. 12,000 damage on the field with the protection of Sylvia being able to negate anything, just not within the damage step. Lethal damage, 1-in-1. All right. Let's see what is good. Ooh, a Lawson right away, and we have the card to win this matchup, but what the heck? Is Ogre enough? Just Ogre? Okay, we can destroy a monster on the field with the trap, so I guess we have double disruption plus a droplet, 3. Maybe that's good enough, right? The Diablo Star is going to set up the Sinful Deception that will get popping with Ogre. We're going to use the Gold Pride on the Summon of the Lurie before it makes a Requiem, because the Requiem will dodge the disruption of Start Your Engines. So just like that, take out that Lurie. We're now down to double disrupt. As the Diablo Star, well, they do have a finger for the Ogre, though. Oh, but they're not setting up the Sinful Deception. We're going to use the Hallowed Azamina to send the original Sinful to the graveyard, which can now be used since we didn't use our normal summon yet to grab a Snake Eye Ash. Now, this is not the Omni Negate. This will be searching for a Wanted Seeker as we further link this up into a Closed Heaven, giving us access to the Requiem, which we stopped them by taking out the Lurie. Grab back the Azamina, chain the Wanted Seeker, send it to the graveyard. The Omni Negate's coming. Get ready to negate anything right now on this resolution. We do have Droplet and Ogre, but the Call by the Grave will finger one of, just the Ogre, that is. Ready with the negates. Engraver, return back Lurie in the deck to reborn itself. Oh boy. And with a Requiem Engrave, we could equip it onto the Engraver to send an opposing monster to the graveyard if we'd like. Requiem, Tribute, summon from the deck or hand if you were to have opened up that Engraver. Get equipping, now get sending. Send the Requiem and send the Captain Carry to the graveyard as we now make the Wave King Caesar. Double special summon negate plus the Omni Negate versus a Droplet and Ogre. Is there anything Ogreable here? What's going on? We're just going to use the Droplet. Sending Tracker for a single negate. Just one. Fully negate the Ash. It's a 2-for-1 special as we negate the effect to search and the effect to summon from the deck. We now just have Ogre. 5,100 damage on field. Going for that random draw into a Nibiru. Not enough to put up lethal damage. But as we end our turn, or not yet, first going to make a Link Karibo here, then likely end it up. There we go. We have a double special summon negate plus negate anything and a Nibiru, which we're double Ogre set. There's no way to force them to activate a monster effect in the main phase to turn on our Triple Tactics talent. Diablo Star activating, and we got to be going out of our mind here. Bro, where is your Sinful Deception for me to use Ogre on? I think Abelmod is purposely avoiding using it. 2-1 victory. Nicely done. Setting up the Deception on a separate activation while it's already face up. We'll tribute off a monster to search for the Hallowed Azamina. We're now going to be activating the Hallowed Azamina to go into our Fusion Summon. This is interesting. We would have probably not summoned Sylvia. If you max C in response to the Hallowed Azamina, they could change their mind to instead summon the Omni Negate, then pass their turn. That's a really good play into Maxi. Is it worth it to allow them to summon something else and then Maxi their other play? That is something on the table to consider and really think about. So I'm not sure if Maxing that is actually a mistake. We're gonna grab a Tract. Ashing the Engraver, I would say a mistake. You could Ash the Tract or the Requiem, both could be good here. The Luri, Reborn, and with that, get ready. We also turned off our Fool Loss, which is fine. Here's the thing, if we actually negate with Sylvia, Fool Loss would be activatable if we didn't reset the Deception. Engraver being equipped, and now Engraver's gonna go even with the Sylvia? Oh, well, the Sylvia negates the effect and doesn't destroy, doesn't banish. So if Sylvia were to negate the Engraver, it does the same thing. We're just sent to the grave. Come forth and make a sequence. And because of our Sinful Spoils, boy, just making the Fool Loss activatable, I think, would have been the play. So 2 things up for discussion here. Should you Maxi a Hollowed Azamina? And should you use your Deception in the end phase if you have a Fool Loss in hand? It recycles itself. You'd think it's a good thing to do, but now we're getting completely clapped up by continual special summoning, and they're going to 1-turn kill us anyway, I'm thinking. We have our own Deception. You think Droll going to jump in popularity because of Tract? I would not play Droll because of that. Yes, maybe if Engraver was at 3, you could make a better case for it. But with Engraver at 2, if they're not specifically engraving into a Tract, then they're making every other play and your Droll's pretty much doing nothing. I would probably say if you are choosing between Droll and Nibiru, Nibiru would probably be better. The problem with Nibiru, though, is while it could be good against them activating sequence with 2 bodies on field, or once they get the 2 bodies on field, you Nibiru right then and there, it's the Azamina cards that everyone else is now playing to make that early Sylvia to negate Nibiru. So then Nibiru's good against the Fiendsmith line, but then not good because people have the Azamina. I'm very much interested to see what hand traps make it to the top. Begin. Transaction rollback. That tells me you're using and abusing your Beatrice. Yes? Is that true? Exactly as I said. Cannot summon from the hand, nor deck, not the extra deck. You can still summon, I guess, from the banishment or your back row, but the main purpose is being allowed to only summon from the grave. And that's it. It goes through. You can't summon anywhere but the grave. Okay, the back row still does work, as we said. We are going to discard the Luri. Luri will summon from the grave. Very nice. Normal the Oak. Oak cannot summon from the deck. We're actually ending our turn as we get to steal the Flameburge, which would then trigger the Divine Temple to steal a card from your back row, but we are now in the end phase when we take that Diablo Star. We're going to Beatrice and Wanted Seeker to draw a card during the next turn. That will also now be triggering our Beatrice and Grave, even though you are now using the effect of the Diablo Star. We're going to burn for 1200 with the Lacrima, also further triggering our field spell to steal from your back row or our own back row, which will then, on another chain link, trigger the Oak to Reborn or add back to the hand a banished level 1 fire. Come forth, Beatrice. Yeah, I think Funky's got this. Trap Plays has definitely fallen to the Shiranui Saga. Yup. Mayayakashi Floodgate for the win. Almost 15,000 damage as we push that Luri into the back row. Finish it up. We do have a Baldrake. Baldrake is here, banishing the Engraver to block the Flameburge. With the Baldrake now gone, we still have lethal damage. Do we want to reveal that we play Baldrake? Because if I now know you play Baldrake, I now know you at least have a Magna Hut, and you should at least have a Druid Swarm, but maybe you wanted to instill that fear into me. Make me think twice about going all in onto an Engraver play, reborning from Engrave. Are you ready? Let's get into it. It is 1-1. We're going to be firing off that engraver right away, grabbing the tract as we send the tract for a Diabostar, as if we got Droll and Lockbirded here. That's quite interesting. We now set up the Deception of Sinful Spoils, which will be searching our deck as the Ash Blossom negates. Is this a new Ash Blossom choke point instead of saving it for an original Sinful? I don't know. It's interesting. If you don't negate Deception, Deception is likely going to get you into the Sylvia, which will negate the Ash Blossom anyway. So are you now forced to negate a suboptimal negate? We're going to be chaining Max C to the original Sinful, summoning from the deck the Poplar. Poplar activate into a newly top-decked Impermanence. Back-to-back hand trap. Negate. Now, surely that Baldrake is mostly for the Fiendsmith engine, but outside that, could it see some good value here? Generally, we will be going to the Fiendsmith engine through any of our normal plays, so it should be coming up as the Diabostar summon here, setting up our original Sinful. We do have Imperm plus the Baldrake. I guess I'll count it as a form of disruption, possibly. The Ash is activating to get negated by the Impermanence as everyone has completely ditched Fire King. So no more fear of Kieran coming out of nowhere to dodge an Imperm. Just Baldrake, where the majority of our monsters are fire. We do have Diabostar, Dark Engrave, so the Baldrake is activatable as the Oak reborns Ash to then send Link Rebo to summon from the deck our Flameburge. Flameburge will be met with our Wanted Seeker, returning back original Sinful to randomly draw into a transaction rollback as we push the opposing Poplar into the back row, now going into what we wanted to see. I'm playing Baldrake to stop Engraver. Get the Engraver engrave right now. Now, maybe Funky is feeling out the Baldrake delays, right? Are we going to suspect it? Are we going to play around the Engraver getting hit? Engraver is here as we now make a Sequence. Sequence will be fusing with the Graveyard, activates as we spin back 2 to summon the Lacrima. Does Lacrima target the Engraver? It does target, so this could be a great moment to just banish it if there isn't another Engraver engrave. There isn't. Nicely done. So it stops the effect of summoning Engraver before it even activates and the ability to add it back or summon it onto the field. But now we have triple tactics talent. This is why you do want to summon your Bystials into defense or any monster during the opponent's turn generally, because of that take control effect. Further turning this into a Promethean Princess. Are we turning this into lethal? We do have a single lingering effect here, which is the Imperm Column. 8,100 damage on the field, and just like that, 2-1 victory. Nicely done. Thank you. Let's keep on going. Wow. With Fiendsmith making Rescue Ace so much more consistent, we still bricked. We do have Imperm, Fool Loss, which made us not allow us to set the Call by the Grave, unfortunately. We also have Ash Blossom, Salamehgreat of Fire, being met with the Fool Loss as the Call by the Grave fingers the Fool Loss. Let's on top of that add an Impermanence negate. Now, the Salamehgreat of Fire could generally be searching for a Gazelle, which you already have in the hand. So that Imperm is for nothing as we link off the Salamehgreat of Fire to trigger the Gazelle, then pop off from there. Do we Ash the effect of Gazelle, sending a card from the deck to the grave? I would suspect we do not. We definitely do not Ash a Balinx, and you in fact could Ash it. This is not TCG, it was not a chain link block. Gazelle, send from the deck. We do not want them to gain access to a Spinny. No Spinny, but despite that, we do have a Weasel. Weasel is special summonable if you control 2 or more Salamehgreats in your graveyard. Right behind the Wolf to add back the Salamehgreat of Fire to add back for the next turn, as we further turn this into our Promethean Princess. Promethean, Reborn, and we can now Link Force search our deck for a form of disruption. Raging Phoenix with an Omni Negate, right? That is what I'd be suspecting. First, we have to super link it off. Gee, what's it called, linking over a link in the anime? Revolution link? Reincarnation link? Yeah, we're out of here. Weasel gets summoned, draw a card, pop it with Promethean Princess, searching for an Omni Negate. Just like that, mate, let's hop into another duel. Impermanence negating a column is considered a negative ailment that it is also tracking, even though you also visually see it. You have Airlifter, which is a good one-card combo into grabbing the emergency summon a Hydrant by sending the Airlifter into the Imperm, negating the Hydrant. Now, because we're not negating the column here with the Imperm from in hand, the ailment tracker is not tracking it. We are special summoning our Terror Top as we grab the Take Tomborg as we now activate the Max C. And as you can see under the ailment tracker, we do have the Max C there. Say goodbye to the Hydrant, Lady Debug to the face. We're passing. We don't want to further make any more exceeds or links. Well, we have got the Fool Loss, Veiler, and the Drone Lockbird. So we now have the Fool Loss under that effect. We could still special summon from the hand though. Veiler, negate the Gazelle, send from the deck, which could have been a Spinny, which could then have Reborn, which could be pushing for lethal damage. We do want to be careful about that. Magnahunt will not be adding to a draw under the Fool Loss, as we have 6,900 damage. Not enough for, it is enough for game. What the heck, 6,900? Yeah, we had damage dealt on a previous turn. And just like that, a very quick 2-0 victory for Salamehgreat, absolutely obliterating Rescue Ace. Rescue Ace never even started cooking. Game 1 completely bricked. Game 2, we got stopped by a single Imperm. Ain't no way. Discard the Lurie to summon our Nightmare Apprentice. Trigger the Lurie to reborn itself. Nightmare Apprentice activate to search our deck. Possibly for the LZ Azamina. Yes, indeed. As she could special summon herself onto the field. We're going to use up our normal summon with Gazelle, grabbing a quick play Chimera Fusion. Now, because we are under the effect of Fool Loss or Maxi, we normally would have possibly summoned the monster that would search for a Sinful Spoil or Azamina card. We instead go into the Omni Negate. And my big question I brought up earlier, is it correct to chain Fool Loss or Maxi to their Fusion Summon effect? You're changing their mind. You're giving them an Omni Negate instead of their other normal plays, which would possibly result in more special summoning before they could even set up a form of disruption. As we grab a Kodal from the deck, Kodal is going to be discarding itself to then grab a Sword Knight. We're now going to use the Chimera Fusion to add itself from Engrave back to our hand. Let's talk about our forms of disruption as we randomly discard the Engraver from their hand due to the Chimera. We do have the ability with Sylvia to be able to negate anything, but to not destroy it. We do have Chimera Fusion, which could go into a Guardian Chimera to pop multiple cards in the field, or one. We also have the Sword Knight, which will get into the grave, which possibly will be used while we have Chimera to be able to negate a monster effect activate on the field. We have Kodal, which could negate an effect that targets one of our cards. I think I'm not going to count that as a form of disruption, though. Let's see from there, about 3. And we were under the effect of Fool Loss, so we had to stop cooking early. We have Snake Eye Ash, Sylvia, negate the effect, but the Call by the Grave, no negate, because what are we fingering? They're trying to stop us from adding Poplar, which would then add the original Sinful, which we already have. So we don't care. We're just going to let it go. As we go into that Chimera Fusion play right now, this is what I'm talking about. The ability to pop 2 cards on the field is happening, plus draw. Goodbye to the Deception and the Snake Eye Ash. We're still going to follow up with a Diablo Star as we're out of disruption. There's nothing left because we didn't make use of the Sword Knight. It wasn't a mistake though. Setting up the Deception Sinful, which we very much prioritized popping with our Guardian Chimera, and now it's back as we use it to fuse into the Brisalago. Now, this is what they normally summon if you don't Maxi or Fool Loss. So if you were to wait, and let's say you have Maxi now, you wait for them to summon this, and let's see, they're going to trigger the Poplar, we would then Maxi, and then they probably would not be able to link here. They'd be kind of stuck, right? I'm really thinking holding Max C and Fool Loss for the resolution of the fusion spell instead of in response to it. We're now going to be adding back the Hollowed Azamina. as we now chain the Wanted Seeker to it so we could send it to the graveyard on the resolution. First, as we add a Diablo Star, which we already summoned this turn though. And now we have our Omni Negate to protect our Beansmith line. Beansmith Requiem off of the Closed Moon Heaven. Ideally, we would summon a Lacrima here, which unfortunately we do not have. Fortunately, we already have Engraver in the grave, though, so we're not requiring the Sylvia to be part of the sequence summon. Otherwise, we just have Engraver. And then what can you do? You can't make sequence. We already summoned Diablo Star. We can't normal summon anything. So we do get to keep this. Lacrima on summon after the fusion, reborning the Engraver, Wanted Seeker, return a card back to draw 1. Got that imperm now as we further link this up into a Promethean Princess. Promethean, reborn the Ash. If we have not used the second effect to summon from the deck, we could do so now by sending the equipped sequence to summon our Flameburge. 10,000 damage. The Guardian Chimera is only untargetable if there were to be no if there were to be a Polymerization in grave, that is. We're going to call by the grave, finger the Mirror Sword Knight, which is being targeted by the Chimera, King of the Phantom Beast, to reborn. Not today. And just like that, Sniffus taking a decisive victory on their very second turn. Just like that. We did see earlier in today's tournament a bit of grinding where duels went up to even turn 6. Was that an outlier or what? All right, we're going to start this off with a Nightmare Apprentice, discarding Thualos. Activate Apprentice to search our deck for LZ Azamina. Bruh. Chainlink to Baphomet, and then you don't target with Cross Sheep as you reborn whatever you send. That's something. Now, obviously, you have to have something else that would be summonable, right? Or it's activating all the effects. Even if you have no level 4, is this activatable? Special summon, you could apply the following effects in sequence based on the card types of the monster it's pointing to. You're just activating the effect. If you'd have to have, there's nothing for Link, and the fusion is only reborn. So it would have to have something else rebornable to even the Thualos made it activatable, is all you gotta know. Sword Knight jumping off the field to summon into a Big Wing Baphomet. Big Wing searching for 2 cards. We have the fusion spell plus the Gazelle, protected by the Apollo USA, to now make our Chimera to randomly discard a card from the opponent's hand during the end phase. Gazelle triggering, Baphomet triggering to reborn the Regina. Now, I'm very much interested to see if Regina is actual disruption during the opponent's turn. As we grab a Codal, with the Gazelle being sent to the grave, Regina is back. Chimera Fusion, come back to me from Engrave. The Hollowed Azamina is now ready to be activated by sending the Sinful Spoils potentially. Codal searching for a Gazelle. We're going to hold on to it because the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest is good on its own. Reborning the... Wow, we randomly discarded the Diablo to trigger its effect. Oops. As we Poplar also... Ooh, we Chainlink blocked that like crazy. I guess we had to negate Diablo Star Reborning and not try to negate on field. Well, why didn't we Apollo? Huh? Well, yeah, that was quite unlucky. As we now get to early set up the Deception of Sinful. Deception of Simple, getting ready to activate. We're not going to be making any big plays here as we just have Ash Blossom to negate the search. Negate. I'm ready for the Regina. Azamina or Sinful Spoils cards activated, which would be the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. We then chain pop 2 cards. When is that happening? Please do it. Apollo, negate the Snake Eye Ash from adding from the deck. Sure. Ash, send to summon for the deck. Nothing, as the Apollo using up its second and final negate. We still have a fusion play and a potential Regina play. We have 2 fusion plays, but I'm not sure if both of them are going to be able to set up a form of disruption to hard summon into the Azamina cards like the Sylvia negate. You need a Light Spellcaster plus Illusion. I don't think we have that. The Regina is an illusion. We don't have a light spellcaster anywhere to fuse into. Negate! The Requiem with the Sword Knight. That is a big negate. Activating on field, even though it's no longer there while it's resolving, it was still an effect that activated on field. We're now going to be whipping out the Gazelle, and unfortunately, we did not get to see Regina cook. Let's go in for lethal damage with Regina. I really wanted to see the Sinful Spoil plus the Chimera Fusion be used together, even adding the Regina on top of it. Again, a single Snake Eye Ash beats this entire hand. Wow. Hello, late to the party, Fool Loss. What is that? If there was a master rule where you get to have your 6-card hand at the start of the duel and then not draw for your turn, maybe going second would be even more balanced. What would that do where you have a 63% chance? Instead, we bump it up to 6 cards. That's going to become, boom, 74. Does that become a more balanced game? What do you think? Oh, but think about Gene Raider. We all forgot about Gene Raider. Who freaking cares? Now, how much disruption is this exactly? Negate anything. Negate up to 2 cards on the field and is untargetable. Negate a monster, negate a monster, negate a monster, and negate a monster. And we have Promethean Princess engraved to also pop a monster. What do? 7 disruption versus 6-card hand, and you just drew a dead hand trap? Oh boy. Well, let's delete that dead card to summon our Diabostar into the first disruption coming up. Apollo, negate the Diabostar setup. We are now going to be following up with a Gazelle, further getting negated from searching for a Chimera Fusion. Negate, now down to 5 disruption. To battle we go. Oh, well, we lost a disruption, took out an Omni Negate, and we took out another negate. Now down to just triple disruption. Even through deleting 2 disruptions, it's probably still not enough. Desiree, get negating. Negate the Quick Play Fusion spell. We're now at 2 disruption. Apollo, not Apollo, Valor, and Promethean Princess. We not Prometheaning that. We're going to allow them to go into Requiem. You can't Promethean the Requiem. You also can't Valor it. Okay. But you can finger it. Ooh, was not even counting the finger as part of the 2 disruptions we have. So in addition to those 2 disruptions staying intact, Requiem is no good. Okay. With Promethean and Valor still at being activatable, we are passing our turn. You have to open up or draw into a board breaker, or you have to have a hand trap, possibly even more. Because of the Fiendsmith engine, even 1 hand trap is not good enough. Let me show you something interesting off of this. Lethal damage. Why is this Orlando? Let's see if they have a ton of disruption, non-engine in their main deck here. Let's count it up. 41 cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This is considered a board breaker. So this is 19 cards, not considering the Called by the Grave. 19. And I think a lot of people winced when I bumped this number up to 15 going, whoa, that's a lot. Well, a YCS winning deck having 19 hand trap and or board breaker. So up to 19, do 1. That's a 96% chance for 1 hand trap, which is, we don't care about this number. We care about this number. We want this. We want a good chance to open up more than 1 hand trap. Y'all got to start bumping up your numbers with the release of Fiendsmith, because what you've been playing before, 12 or less, not good enough. YouTube, that was the top 16. In the next video, we're going to be going into the top 8 grand finale in top decklist. I'll see you there. Let's do it.